So I'm here, and there is a goodwill. Poor people do not need tax deductions if it's in Europe or anywhere else. When they exchange something, they need money, not tax deductions. And so you don't understand. Goodwill in richer communities, it's like municipal bonds. I'll lay it out in the link when you should sell somebody a municipal bond. It's based on income. Because somebody in a low tax bracket doesn't need the tax shield that a municipal bond offers. So it's not good for them, because municipal bonds pay lower rates of interest because of the tax shield. They're both state and federal tax favored. So Goodwill sets up their stores, and they need to close them down as well and move them around based on income needs. They cannot be static. It has to be a dynamic model, moving into communities that are needed. And when those communities no longer need the goodwill, they become a source for donations because they need tax deductions because the community is richer. And so they give things for tax deductions. But Goodwill has to value everything, like the Antique Roadshow and that. Or it's tax fraud, as all these people give stuff to the Goodwill, stuff it in the drop boxes, and they get a donation receipt, and the stuff is garbage. And they commit tax fraud. Jen donated clothing that was, she made sure she maintained all of her clothing, like me. I'm very detailed in my washing and everything else. And I only donate clothing that's gently used, that is in very good condition. But the whole thing is, Goodwill has to turn into a Buffalo exchange. They can do consignment or buy the merchandise from you. You get to choose. Do you want the tax credit or do you want the cash? Some people need the cash. So it all depends on their need. This idiot moron. So again, their need. Like here, I'm by a Mexican grocery store. It's one thing if the community wants it as a satellite. It's another thing when it becomes the predominant. So, yes, for a small population of Mexicans, it's there, and it's their focal point. But for the greater community, it's a satellite. Like I want to do Taco Tuesdays or make some burritos and that. I would advertise them as come to our store when you want to change a pace and try some different types of Mexican cuisine. So, just like we had tacos every so often, just like I had Chinese every so often, but most of my meals were traditional American. And the satellite was the things that accented it so it didn't get bland. But this, going back to Goodwill, they need to change how they operate. And they can't have this. They have to inspect the stuff that's given to them and decide whether they want it or not. and they have to reject stuff. Literally reject it. It's too damaged. It's trash. It's not for the goodwill. They have to be good to their members. People come in there looking for quality stuff, gently used merchandise, not stuff that have been destroyed. And so you can't give these evil people the ability to commit tax fraud. And all these charities allow them to commit tax fraud, and then the end user gets screwed because they go in and the stuff is garbage. You get it and it breaks right away, or it falls apart right away. Truly. And so Goodwill has to be very good about being picky about what it takes. And so they can exchange merchandise between the Goodwills. They have to keep at their POS system, point of sale, what items sell. Do people like Levi jeans here? Do they like Lee jeans, which is different than Levi's? Lee jeans are more for cowboys. It's tougher material. Levi's are more for construction workers. Different type of material for a different type of business. Lee's were very much cowboy. Levi's were very much blue-collar workers. So a different form of denim. If you've ever worn them, and I've done both, they're actually different materials designed for different market use. So here, they have to have the POS system and doing it correctly. And in that, so they can target an exchange between, but they have to be picky. And they know in their demographics that, okay, we don't need Levi's or Lee jeans here, but the store in Des Plaines, it sells very well. So they send them to the store over in Des Plaines so they can improve their turnover rate. They get them in and they go out the door so they can improve their margins and become more profitable. So they have to work as a network, helping each other out by moving merchandise. But with that, what happens? You have a logistical cost because you're moving goods from one place to another, and that costs money. So you have to aggregate the logistics where they pick up and drop off at each store. And they pick up and the stuff is assigned. As they pick it up, the store boxes it up and says, this is for Goodwill pallet time. And so they move it in to their thing, and if they're not going up the pallet time, they go back to the distribution center and they put it on a truck that's heading towards pallet time. But this means when they go in there, they fit the demographics. And sometimes, like diesel jeans and that, you can have them high-end stuff, Prada and all that at Goodwill. Do you know that? Goodwill doesn't have to be the bottom basement. It's all gently used. They can have Christian Dior, they can have Calvin Klein, they can have Prada, they can have all these high-end that people want to trade in. They want to get the latest stuff, and they're done with this, and these people have money, they want the higher fashion, but they need to get the recapture. And so you can come in and buy gently used Prada. You're buying it aftermarket, and Goodwill sets up an exchange. And they can have Prada bags and Coach bags and truly all of that. So they fill out the vertical from the very low end to the very high end. And so when people like Jen, she'd turn over her wardrobe every year or two, and she only bought high-end merchandise, and she donated it for the tax deduction, and it was in great shape. And she'd be donating Coach and Burberry and other things. And that's high-end merchandise that she donated because she only wore high-end clothing. And she donated it. She gave Lisa a beautiful jacket because she wasn't a donate it. She only wore it once, and it was beautiful, but she likes turning her wardrobe over so she has the latest fashion because she's in an industry that is image conscious. Consultants have to look trendy. And people are buying them because they understand what's going on. Unless you're selling to a Goodwill and consulting for them, then you're looking at secondhand clothing. You come in, suits and that are trendy. But anyways, I'm driving around in a circle talking. But again, they have to do it right. So the Goodwill, it can have the greatest of stuff. It can have the highest end of fashion. And so when those rich people, like Donald Trump is done with his suits because he's turning them over, he needs a fat tax deduction. That's worth more. He doesn't need the money. He wants the reduced taxes. He wants the tax shield. So he's going to turn in his suit, and then he's going to buy new ones. So Goodwill or the Salvation Army can have that. And so they can have the highest of end. They're not limited to low end. They can have the highest end merchandise that is gently used. And so this Goodwill, if this place got richer, they would only carry high end. So each Goodwill would have its own fashion grade like the Gap and have the things that market demands. So maybe it's more Levi's, maybe it's more Walmart or Target clothing. Because I gave gently used Walmart stuff and Target stuff to Salvation Army and Goodwill, Sam's Club stuff and that was in great condition, but it comes at a cheaper price point. And so they put fashion grades on the store, and Goodwill can serve the richest community like Deerfield, say, or Bannockburn, and they can open up. And people in there have different grades of wealth, and they might go into a Goodwill, even a filthy rich person, if they can get a gently used item, like say a Prada purse, at a good value, they'll go in and shop at Goodwill. So Goodwill only limits itself. And you keep on hurting me because you think there's some necessity to impoverishing me, to keeping me down, it seems like. There's no necessity. They don't go out of business. They just get the right model that allows them to operate today and all the way into the future. So it's their poor management. Just like the Mexican food store. Instead of being something you cause horrible demographics and hatred towards, you talk about how to accent your food and how maybe come in and get some Mexican spices to create a hybrid dish. Tex-Mex, right? That's American cuisine with Mexican cuisine. Tex-Mex. So they get them to come in for specific things. And so they have to market it on their website, all these fusion type foods or fusion type recipes. When you would add jalapenos to a dish to give it a little Latino flair, or when you would add taco sauce to a dish to give it a little Mexican flair, making it a fusion. So they're the satellite. Sometimes you want all of what they have, like I just want Mexican tacos or burritos. Other times I just want to add a little exotic flavor to my traditional German food or Swedish food or British food. And so I'm going to add a little flair because I want to mix it up. Because if I don't mix it up, it comes like eating vanilla ice cream every day, even if you love it, or chocolate. Eventually your taste buds crave a different flavor. So you spice it up a little every so often, and you continue on eating the dish. So they get the little satellite sale. They don't get the core, but they still get the satellite. And a little bit from everybody is a lot of money. So they position themselves incorrectly. And they create racial tensions and everything else. And this is our problem in America. Lots of dumb people in places of power who have no idea what the hell they're doing. Leave this video. I got to go to the gym. Going to Planet Fitness. God forbid they prevent me from getting in shape. Then it's Planet Hell for all of them.